How's it going, crew? This is Happy Days, and welcome back to the Feature Series. In this series, we're looking at some of the interesting things about NPCs, examining their spawning mechanics, and also how you can unlock their full inventory. A lot of their inventory you may never see because it has some different requirements for some parts of it. Last week we checked out the Witch Doctor and how to get the most out of that amazing NPC. Some players miss it completely, can you believe it? And this week we're going to be looking at the Steampunker. The Steampunker is an NPC that spawns once you've beaten one mechanical boss on your world. And to me, I usually just call her the teleporter girl because that's where I buy my teleporters from. But today we're going to explore all the awesome stuff you can actually do with this funky NPC. So stay tuned and let's check her out. Okay guys, so let's start by having a little look at the Steampunker's inventory. So as I mentioned, she's a hard mode NPC and appears after you've defeated one of the hard mode bosses. When she spawns, she has a few default items, such as the Clentaminator, which is used to spread different biomes and is incredibly useful, especially if you're into making AFK farms and things like that. And also she default sells the teleporters as well. Which is really good if you're into trap making or just want to make your place a bit more awesome. Cogs are another thing that she spawns with, and these are actually used to make the different Steampunker furniture items. So let's start by having a look at one of the items that she sells, which is the Steampunk boiler, which I've got set up here, and I'll explain some of the different crafting you can do with it. The Steampunk boiler does a lot of crafting of ornamental sort of items and furniture items. It mainly uses things like cogs to craft the different things that you need. And some of the items actually use, instead of just cogs, they might use silk as well, like to make a bed, or to make something like the Steampunk chest, you need bars as well. So it's kind of cool, especially if you're like me and you love different biome stuff. So you can craft, you know, sort of themed rooms and things like that. And it just makes it look really cool when you're trying to set up something like that. So the furniture I really like, it looks kind of cool. So yeah. Another thing that you can buy from the Steampunker is the solidifier, which is this thing with the lightning bolts coming off it here. And it actually uses gel for its crafting. And at first it doesn't look like it could make really anything. And pretty much the only different crafting option is these slime blocks. So basically with your gel you want to make a fair few to get started. But once you've actually made your slime blocks, all these different crafting options come open. And they're craftable through the solidifier with slime blocks instead of gel. So you can do things like make platforms in slime, and bathtubs, and chairs, and it's just really cool. And I think, you know, if you're trying to make like an underground slime land or something like that, or just something a bit different in your place, it's a really cool crafting option, I think. Sometimes it can be fun to use blocks like the slime blocks, especially if you're making a themed sort of AFK farm. So for example, here's a king slime farm I was building, and I wanted to use slime blocks, mostly because I heard that slime blocks increase spawn rate, which I don't think is true after all that. But also because it was kind of fun, I thought, well, I'm hunting king slimes, may as well make it look kind of cool at the same time. One of the last things, and this is probably one of the more useful things that the Steampunker sells, is actually the blend-o-matic. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never really used this before, but it makes an amazing item. The blend-o-matic actually uses stone blocks and gel, and it creates asphalt blocks. Now, asphalt blocks increase your running speed. And you might think, oh, you know, what's the point of that? It's actually kind of interesting to play around with asphalt because it does increase your running speed by a pretty large scale. And let's have a little play with it here. To me, it kind of feels like when you're walking on ice with ice boots. And yeah, so when you get a bit of it out, you can see that it actually gets your speed up pretty quickly as opposed to just building up speed on normal ground. I've seen a lot of people who use asphalt as an interesting way to fight Duke Fishron, because if you've just got a nice long runway like this and running from Duke Fishron, you can kind of attack back and forward while you're staying out of his reach. And then you could just have a long pathway going in one direction and keep right in front of him. So I'm really interested to have a play around with this, and I think, even though it's not quite an AFK option, Asphalt is super fast and would be an interesting way to fight some bosses in the game. At night, during the Blood Moon, you can actually get some of the Steampunker's different solutions. So for example, if you're on a Crimson world, not Crimson, Corruption, during a Blood Moon, she'll actually change her solution from the normal green solution, which is Purity, into a Corruption one. And it's a really good option. Like, I just normally buy a whole stack of it, and then that way you don't have to wait for the next Blood Moon to buy up on that stuff. When you're using the Clentaminator from the Steampunker and with the different solutions, it's important to know how the solutions work. So they count as ammo, so they can be stored either in your inventory or your ammo slots. And basically, the Clentaminator will shoot whichever ammo is highest in your ammo slot. So for example, at the moment it's spreading Corruption, and if I swap it to the blue solution, which you can get when the Steampunker has a house in a Hallow biome, it actually changes the biome into Hallow. And then again, if I want to change it back to Purity, all I have to do is spray with the green solution. Also, when the moon phase changes, she goes from selling the Steampunker outfit to a jetpack, which is some of the earliest wings you can get. Oh, warding, that's kind of nice. The cool thing about the jetpack is you don't need to craft it. And yeah, it is pretty useful. Its flight distance isn't very far. And when you're flying, if you hold up, you actually ascend further. And if you hold spacebar, it allows you to use slow fall, so you won't take any falling damage. If you're interested, the Steampunker also sells the Steampunk Goggles, which you do need to change the date on your computer to Halloween, which is October the 31st, and then she'll sell the little goggles. It's also handy if you're interested in farming some of the Halloween themed mobs. You can see a Hoppin' Jack down there at the moment, which is pretty cool. Okay guys, thanks as always for spending some time with me, and thanks for your support for this new series where we're looking at different NPCs and all those awesome suggestions for which NPC to cover next. I'm building this world as we go, and it'll be available for download once the series is finished, with all the character specific items included as well, which is really cool. A few shout outs to do. We've got How to Kill a Zomble has asked me to say yak and yoke and yak. Yak and yoke and yak, yak and yoke and yak. Wow, I can't believe I got one right for once. That's awesome. Bung the Boost, who's obviously been watching a bit of the Serena series, has asked me to say be one with the hive. Nice little bad pun there. Love that stuff, guys. Arctic Icy has asked me to say, here it is there, it goes now. We have all learned a lesson. Very prophetic, very profound. I love it, Arctic. Very cool. Deadly Destruction Gaming X400's asked me to say his name, so I guess I just did that. Awesome. Adam Jones has asked me to say, how many bats can a Batman bat if a Batman has no bat? It's kind of nice. Like that one. And last one coming up from Quinn, the Shadow Assassinator 24, Mackenzie Foster, has asked me to say she sells seashells on the seashore. The cells that she sells are seashells, I'm sure. I'm doing pretty good today. I like that. Don't forget, guys, you can get me to do shout outs for movie quotes, Simpsons quotes, anything else as well. You know, I'm happy if you mix it up a bit. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this series. Remember that sometimes I do need to do shorter videos like this because I do have a busy life outside of YouTube as well. So Serena series coming back soon. Thanks for your support. Comments are always appreciated for shoutouts and suggestions for NPCs that are coming next. Bunnies are killing themselves over there, so let's grab the bunny banner and hang that bad boy up. Or bad bunny. You know what I'm saying. And as always, guys, stay happy, and I'll see you next time. This is HappyDays signing out. See ya!